every month there are new comic book series coming out. And in this brand new series, which I'm calling We the Ones, I'm going to be taking you through each of the #1 issues to brand new series that I read from the previous month. I'm going to try to do this each and every month. There are a lot of books out there that are brand new series. I don't read all of them, but I do read new ones quite often. I like dipping my toes into the fresh waters of brand new comic book series. So with that being said, I don't want to waste any more of your time. Let's jump into the very first book that I read that was new from August, and that was The Power Fantasy issue #1. This was a 36-page comic book for only $3.99. Shout out to Image. But this is by Kieran Gillen and Casper Wingard, and I said it in my review video. I really like this one. There was a lot of build-up. There was a lot of talking, exposition, but what I think a lot of, I guess you would call them reviewers on YouTube kind of left out is there's a huge part towards the middle-ish to late part of this comic book that stuff just hits the fan, and this book has a lot going on for it. Now, the first half of this book is all almost just a conversation, which, you know, you have to set up the world. You have to create the characters. You have to generate what these characters are going to be fighting over, or what is the meat of the matter with each brand new book. But The Power Fantasy by Kieran Gillen was a good one. I am going to continue reading it. I am cautiously optimistic. They set up a pretty cool world. It started in the 60s, like the year of the 60s, and these two apparent superheroes were talking about the morality of allowing non-supers basically the right to exist, or if it was just more moral to just kill everyone, essentially. And then it fast forwards to the 90s, and that same, the main guy who was talking about it is, stuff hits the fan. I'm not going to spoil it. This isn't going to be a spoiler version of this, but yeah, it was pretty wild. Some crazy shenanigans happen. If you like superhero comics and kind of highbrow stuff here, highbrow content, you're going to enjoy this. They have some really, really deep philosophical questions that are asked in this, and yeah, it goes off the rail pretty quickly. But The Power Fantasy, in this instance, in this first issue, I am going to say I acknowledge We the Ones. This is going to be acknowledged. So I am definitely going to pick up the second issue of this book. All right, next up we have Uncanny X-Men. This is From the Ashes, A New Beginning. Uncanny X-Men. Now that the Krakoa era is officially over. This is a 40-page comic book for $6, $5.99. Quite expensive. But Gail Simone and Dave Marquez are on it. Now, this is definitely, in my opinion, one of the new X-Men titles that I was most excited about. I do like Gail Simone. She has way more hits, in my opinion, than she does misses. And this team, this specifically the reason I was so intrigued was the team. We have Wolverine, we have Jubilee, we have Rogue, Gambit, and Nightcrawler. So X-Men 97 vibes. The art that is provided by David Marquez here on this title, it fits perfectly with that X-Men 97 vibes. The story, we get a glimpse at the X-Mansion, the X-Men Mansion, and they're turning it into a prison, apparently. There's a huge tease at the end. They go into the Cerebro room, and there is, instead of it being Cerebro, there's a cage, and in there is a mutant that we did not get to see. I am so excited for the second issue of this. When you watch this video, the second issue will have been out. It actually comes out today. But oh my gosh, and the story between Rogue, Gambit, and Wolverine, they fight a freaking dragon, guys. They fight a dragon. It was awesome. The art is amazing, energetic. There's a ton of fighting. So if you like action-packed comics, you're going to love the first issue of the Uncanny X-Men. And one thing I want to say, shout out to Gail Simone for writing all of these characters in a way that, for me, she was writing them how I expected them to sound. Things that they would do, in my mind, based on the, 25 years of knowledge in my mind. I'm not 25, but I've probably been conscious enough and know about the X-Men enough for 25 years. I'm a little bit older than that, but shout out to Gail Simone for writing these characters in such a way that an old school X-Men fan agrees and likes the way that they're going with these stories. Wolverine sounds like the thing. He's saying things that sound like the way that Wolverine is. We've got Rogue saying things that sounds like she would say. And, of course, Gambit with that, I don't know, that Louisiana accent. And she doesn't overdo it, but it's definitely there. And, the Uncanny X-Men, in my opinion, is a 4-star book. I really liked it. I had fun with it. Action-packed book. Great table setter for the rest. I have a lot of intrigue about who this mutant is that's in this first cell at the mansion and the school of gifted children. But Uncanny X-Men, we the ones, absolutely. I acknowledge the Uncanny X-Men. Next up, we have Wolverine Revenge, Red Band Edition. You know I had to get the Red Band Edition. If you're a kid, it might be a little scary because there's a ton of blood in the Red Band Edition. I did not read the regular version, so I don't know a lot of the differences. But apparently it was pretty different. So I do like that. This is a 28-page comic for $5.99. It is by Jonathan Hickman, and the penciler is Greg Capullo. The special thing about this book is that Wolverine Revenge is the last ongoing series that Greg Capullo says he will ever be doing. I'm a huge Greg Capullo fan. I loved his run with Scott Snyder on Batman, and I had to pick it up. This did not disappoint. One critique I have of Jonathan Hickman is oftentimes, and we all know it if you've been reading comics long enough, and if you've read any of Hickman's work, he gets a little in the weeds, I'll say, about world building. He'll spend a full chapter or a half of a book, half of an issue building up things, and then he'll cut to, all right, that was the prelude, here's where the actual story starts. And in this book, there was none of that. We had Wolverine, he was on vacation and in the Savage Lands and riding dinosaurs and living life, and then all of a sudden Nick Fury shows up with some Avengers and is like, there's a Avengers level threat, we need you, and things go from there. And I really liked it though. The art, obviously incredible. Greg Capullo, one of the best in comics history in my opinion, and this was just fun. Hickman didn't get in his own way, which I think sometimes he does. He kind of got to the point, and he's writing to Capullo's strengths as an artist. So I really appreciate that. We are kind of jump-starting the story, not a whole lot. This is a lot of action, and I really enjoyed it. So, of course, this is going to be, I acknowledge it. We the ones. This is definitely one I'm going to pick up the second issue of. I think it comes out next week, so I'm super stoked. And Wolverine Revenge by Hickman and Capullo. So stoked for issue number 2. Next up, we have Stand Still, issue number 1. This is a 64-page comic for only $4.99. So shout out Image. I love it. This is a kind of shorter series. It is one of 8 books. This is by Lee Lothridge and the artist is Andrew Robinson. So basically, the synopsis of this book is this gentleman right here has created a watch that he can pause time. Pretty awesome. I'm hooked already. But the first scene, the first several pages of this, he goes into a biker bar and just starts wreaking havoc, because when you can control mind, it don't matter how big your adversary is, how bad, how much leather they're wearing. Yeah, no, he kicks the crap out of them. And in fact, he may or may not unalive a lot of them. But we learned that it was all for a good cause. But the hook of this book is, well, the government agency that he made this device for might be looking for it. So I really enjoyed it, though. I had never heard of either of these creators. Let me know in the comments section. I would love to know of these, if they've done any other books. Now, obviously, I could look them up, but that's not as fun. Also, if you enjoy this kind of content where I talk about #1 issues, I do new comic book day stuff, I do all sorts of things. If you enjoy this kind of content, make sure to subscribe. Follow me on my comic book collecting journey. And it would be awesome if you'd, chop it up with me in the comments. But yeah, for Standstill issue #1, I really enjoyed it. I will acknowledge it and pick up the second issue. Moving on, we have Universal Monsters Frankenstein issue #1. This is a 32-page comic book for $4.99. This is by writer and artist Michael Walsh. Now, Universal Monsters just came out with the Dracula series by James Tynion. I actually didn't pick that up. I like Tynion's work. I'm not a huge Dracula fan, although Frankenstein I am definitely more partial to. So I decided to pick this one up. This says, the description on League of Comic Book Geek says, a modern-day horror visionary resurrects one of the most iconic monsters. Award-winning creator Michael Walsh, the Silver Coin, presents an electrifying new version of the horror classic. Each issue of the limited series tells a shocking story behind one of the body parts used to create the unforgettable monster from the original film. This has an excellent angle on it. You know, you think when you're coming into a Frankenstein story, you know all the angles, all the story details. But on the first page, I don't think this is a huge spoiler. On the first page, we see a boy crying. It's raining. He's in a graveyard. He's crying. He's missing his dearly departed father. And all of a sudden, these grave robbers show up. He's got to scurry and hide. And he's hiding behind another tombstone. And they start digging up his grave. What the heck? Anyways, as it turns out, they're using body parts from this poor soul. They're using body parts. They take his hand, and it's brutal. The kid follows him back to Frankenstein's lab and sees them. The imagery and the iconography in this book is absolutely gorgeous. I definitely get Hellboy vibes from the art. It is shrouded in very dark blacks, and I really enjoy that style. If you see the cover art, that's kind of what you're looking at here. This specific cover right here is definitely very similar. I mean, obviously, it's the same artist here that did this cover that did the interior, but holy smokes. And the coloring here by Tony Marie Griffin, absolutely gorgeous. It's almost, I won't say monochromatic, but it was washed. I'll say that. And I like that style. But Frankenstein, issue #1 by Michael Walsh and Tony Marie Griffin. Absolutely, I acknowledge you. I was really excited. And I was very pleased by this. It was kind of a shorter book in terms of the actual length of the comic inside. I felt like there were maybe 4 or 5 pages at the end that were extra, like director's notes, essentially, writer notes. But no, I liked it. I'm really excited for the second issue. And because it's a limited series, I'm definitely going to pick up all these issues regardless. And moving on to Convert issue #1. This is the last book that I'm going to be talking about in this video. This is a 28-page book for $3.99 from Image Comics by writer John Arcudi and artist Savannah Finley. The art in this book, I will say, is pretty awesome. But we have this person here, Officer Oren Kutula, and he finds himself stranded on a distant planet. Tell me if you've heard this before. Starving and haunted by the ghost of his dead crew, on the verge of death, he makes an astonishing discovery. I was really excited for this book when I first learned of it. I read it, and I was not all that impressed. He kind of just does art, hangs out, lives amongst this foreign world, this, alien world. And I am going to spoil the ending of this because I think it adds context to why I am giving it I do not acknowledge this book, and I'm not going to continue this series. The only one, though, on this video, I didn't like the ending, and here's what happened. So if you didn't like this, fast forward to the ending of this video, or I'll catch you in the next one, I guess. But he finds some alien life, and I don't know. It just seems like kind of an obvious thing to do with the book. I thought there was going to be some revelation, some kind of big twist, but finding alien life on an alien planet isn't all that interesting, in my opinion. Maybe the second issue is going to have some other twist, but for me, it wasn't bad. I did like seeing this character kind of hang out and do his art and kind of be really in his feelings. Obviously, he just lost his entire crew of his spaceship, but yeah, I'm probably not going to pick this second one up. Maybe I will. I change my opinion. Not my opinions, but I have game time decisions when I get to the comic shop on whether I'm going to buy things or not. Some things I have on my pull that I end up not picking up, and I have things that aren't on my pull that I end up picking up. But at this point, I am going to definitely say I'm not picking up the second issue. This is I am not acknowledging this book at all as being part of the ones. So there you have it. That is the video, folks. Those are all the #1 issues I read last month, the month of August 2024. If you like this series, make sure to like this video because I have no idea. I kind of just make these videos and send them off into the YouTube void. And if they get a lot of likes, I know that people are digging them. If not, then I don't. But let me know what you think about this series. Let me know what you thought about these books. Was there any #1s from last month that I missed? Should I go back and read something? I'm definitely willing to if it's still at my local comic shop. I appreciate you. Again, the name of the series is We the Ones. If you're a wrestling fan, you'll get the reference. But yeah, thank you all so much. Again, comment down below. I would love to hear your opinions on these books, or just chop it up, talk some comics. Subscribe and hit the notification bell icon, because I've noticed with my own stuff that I'm subscribed to, I don't get notified unless I hit all on those notifications. You wanna get posted every single time one of your favorite creators makes a new video. So thank you all so much for watching. Again, though, I'm Alex. This is Graphic Novel Collector. I appreciate you. And until the next video, I will catch you all on the flippy flop. Adios, everyone.